The ALBERTACERATOPS TLC has now released into Path of Titans. It's released at around 1 AM for me, and I assume for most of you Europeans as well. But this is it, and this is everything you need to know about it. Now, they haven't changed much in terms of the actual model. In fact, nothing has changed. The species haven't changed either. It's still Nesmoi, stamina recovery, Taurus, which is armor, and Crinitus, which is attack damage. That being said, the baby also hasn't changed, but we're going to go ahead and have a look at it anyways. So, the new ALBERTACERATOPS is here, and of course, there's a lot to go over. Firstly, while it is a baby, I'm going to quickly go over some of the main stuff, obviously, for it being a baby. Firstly, you get a standard attack here, which is this. And in terms of damage, it's pretty much the same as it was before on a baby. Now, pretty much not much has changed on it as a baby. In fact, the model hasn't changed, the cores haven't changed. There hasn't been any major stat changes from what I could find, but the main thing is its new abilities. Now, can you unlock any of them when you're a baby? Yes, you can. You have your passives already. You can block as well, and you can bring up any of these hide abilities as long as you have the marks. And you can change out your head abilities as well. You get brand new head abilities like Sever Tendon. Now, in terms of it being full grown, once again, nothing has changed to the model. This is not a model TLC, but it is an ability overhaul. And by golly, it's gotten quite a bit of new stuff in terms of its abilities. Firstly, though, in terms of the size hasn't changed either. It's pretty much the same. It's a phrase slot. It's still quite chunky and tanky. Let's talk about all the abilities, though, because there are a lot to go over. So, ALBERTACERATOPS has a lot of options, however, you only have one choice per slot, aside from the passives, but you can't really take them out, can you? They're unremovable. So, let's talk about the passives at first anyway. So, you've got Armored Skull, which takes no extra damage from head attacks, and then you've got counterattack, which automatically counterattacks after successfully blocking, which is pretty neat. That being said, it sums up what you get next. You get a block ability. It's chucked in your passive. You can randomly just remove this. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. Block. You reduce incoming damage from attacks that connect with the head, neck, or front of the body. Uses stamina when activated. Go to your head. You've got Sever Tendon, which is a bite that applies a sliced debuff. This reduces the movement speed of the target by 2% and stacks up to 5 times. Upon reaching 5 stacks of sliced, the target gains immunity to any additional sliced stacks for 5 minutes. Then you've got Headbutt, which is a quick headbutt attack that causes low damage. Then you've got Head Slam, which is a slamming headbutt attack that costs stamina and deals high damage. After that, you've got your sensors. You've got Frilled Bond, which increases damage by 7.5% and armor by 7.5% to yourself and any ceratopsians in your group within 50 meters. Stacks up to 4 times. Then you move into Pivot. Pivot improves turn speed by 50% while blocking. Pivot's really strong, by the way, and I'll showcase that with a demo in the future in a moment, actually. You go to your Metabolism. You've got Forager, which allows you to eat flowers, nuts, roots, and fruit, and then Herbivore, which allows you to eat berries and fruit. Moving into your hide, you've got Off Guard, which is where you're no longer allowed to use your counterattack. Instead, you gain additional 100 health and 100% increased status effect healing rate. Then Razer Crest, which increases the damage of your attack by 50% and regain 5% of your health if counterattack strikes a target. And then you got Second Wind, which gains 150% increased stamina recovery for 12 seconds after receiving a hit while blocked. After that, you've got solid frill, which is when hit while blocking, you gain 15% armor for 45 seconds, stacks up to 20 times. Now, this, I believe, has, well, this is really strong. It's insanely strong, but we're going to talk about that in a moment. There is an ability that was toned down, however, and that was, if I'm correct, it's the vocal ability at the end, which is quick vigor, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But for your back limb abilities, you've got back kick, standard. You've got charge, which is standard. Stomp makes a return, and this utilizes the new area of effect radius. And then you've got swerve, which is a swerving, rapidly turning behind you attack. It's like what Cerato has, and it's like Duke, but you do an attack with it. And then you go to your voice. You have Enrage, which I believe is the standard one that we've had before, but it increases your damage by 15% for 60 seconds. It can be used if you are deafened. Then you got Quick Vigor. This one's been nerfed because it was really strong originally. Essentially, for 30 seconds, your block has an instant cooldown and does not use any stamina. It's now been given a stamina cost of 0.8. So, now apparently, this bug with Quick Vigor caused dinosaurs to be immune to any damage at all. So we have to see how that plays out. Maybe we can witness that today. Then you got Vengeful Roar, which is for 60 seconds. Your block now reflects damage equal to 75% of an incoming attack as piercing damage. It can also be used if you are deafened, which is pretty cool. So it looks like most of these can be used if you are deafened, which I think is really interesting and weird. It kind of goes against everything that deafening is. So, it is time to showcase all of the attacks that this dinosaur now has. It's got quite a few, so let's go ahead and go right through them. What shall we start with? Well, we're going to go with block at the end, so we're going to go with the standard head attack first, which is the standard headbutt. Now, this is how much damage it will be doing to our Allosaurus. And there you go. It is a nice amount of damage. Now, we'll have a look at how Allosaurus does damage to this on the flip side, but yeah, it is a pretty good attack, and ALBERTACERATOPS is one of my favorites because it does that beefy damage. Next is the head slam. Now this does, I think it's around double that of the normal headbutt. It's a lot of damage, and it doesn't have a massive cooldown. I would say personally, it might be better to use this over the normal headbutt attack, but the issue is, like, because it's more of a slower wind up, you might miss it more likely. Now, Sever Tendon is next. This comes with the sliced debuff. Now, you kind of have to think here, is this debuff worth the lower damage out of all of the head attacks compared to getting the debuff itself, which, as far as I'm aware, it reduces the movement speed of a target up to 5 times, so that means it can do 10% reduced speed. Now, this will be good if you're in a group and you can stack this up and then you can just cause a ruckus to the opponent. But if you're solo, I just wouldn't be going with this attack. The next one you get, of course, is your back kick. Now, this has always done a lot of damage, but this is it right now. There you go. So, similar damage. It looks like it's just a little bit less than the head slam. But, I mean, if you're connecting with the head and stuff like that, it will do a lot more. The next one here is the brand new stomp. So, this is the brand new stomp. And that does so much damage, but it has such a long cooldown, about 30 seconds, which is insane. And if we connect it there with the body slam there, that is... it's really good. It's a really good damaging attack. Now, is it worth having it compared to the other attacks? Well, this is where we're going to find out, because the next one is Swerve. Now, Swerve is an attack that I think is directional. Now, you do go one way to another, and you do an attack while you do it. So it's like that. You do a bit of knockback as well. It's a very good attack. 7-8 second cooldown. I'm going to check really quickly if it is directional. So if we were looking that way before, let's look this way. Yeah, it is a directional attack. It's a very nicely animated attack as well. It's very similar to the Ceratosaurus Swerve, which I think does a very similar thing and is quite good with its damage as well. And the final new attack to showcase, well, it's not really new. The final actual attack is the charge. And how much damage this does, well, I think it's very similar to what the original charge done. There you go. And that's not even after a full charge, but still, it's got about an 18-second cooldown as well once it's disengaged. And then you have to go back to waiting with it and using your other attack. Speaking of other things, we do have one to showcase, and that is block. The next thing to showcase in terms of the attacks is the counterattack. Now, counterattack is only enabled when you do a block, but first, I want to showcase how much damage happens when you do when you get attacked without the block. So it's about 6 attacks from the Allosaurus on the head to get you below half health. With block, it's about 7, but that's because you have to disable it by using a specific hide, which then grants you additional 100 health. And that hide is off guard, so it removes the counterattack, but it increases your health and it allows you to use block without the counterattack. So if we do it quickly here as an example, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and you'd get 7, maybe 8 in there, but 7 then drops it down below half health. It's really situational. You can hold that block for a while, but speaking of the block, there is another ability that you can get out of it, and that is your counterattack. This is how it works. If you successfully block an attack, you instantly do a head slam back. So it's like this. And there you go. Now, this is a slow attack. If you're attacked by a mobile creature, that mobile creature is just going to bait you into using that counterattack, and then it's going to run past you. And the likelihood is you're either going to miss it or hit its tail because they're going to be running past you. But in the cases where you're face tanking, you could essentially hit that and then do a double head slam, pretty much. If we really quickly test that, so we've got the head slam right here. Let's do a heal all, and we can see how that works. So, of course, counter, and then head slam straight after, and there you go. You've got doubled up on head slam damage. But let's talk about some of the other stuff, because there are a few passive abilities and other stuff that I think are really good to showcase here that go alongside this ability TLC and make it even better. Now, the first one I want to talk about is the pivot ability. Now, I do not have pivot enabled at the moment, but it increases your turning rate while you are blocking. So if I go into precise movement right here and start blocking, there you go. That's it right there. It feels a little bit sluggish. It's okay, you know, it's a pretty decent turn radius. But if you really quickly go, oh, you know what, let's put the pivot on, increases that turn speed by 50%, it is so much faster. You become a dinosaur Beyblade. Like, look at how speedy that is. That's something that could easily change the tide of battle. And you're really getting rid of a group buff. So if you are not in a group, it might be better to use pivot, or I mean, if you're a whole group doing pivot and block at the same time, it's probably going to work really well. Now, the other one here is quite interesting. This is the counterattack buff, which is Razer Crest. This is a hide, and essentially what happens is you deal more damage with your counterattack and you gain a little bit of health back. So let's really quickly test that out. And if we go ahead and heal this Allosaurus, the first attack that I'm going to do is with Razer Crest enabled. So we block, we counter, and then boom. That's how much damage you're going to be doing there. So if I really quickly remove Razer Crest and do it again, yeah, it is quite the difference in terms of damage output there. Now, Second Wind is a stamina hide that increases your stamina recovery while blocking. So if we really quickly do that, you got 10 seconds of Second Wind right there. Can we stack it again? So it just, with every bite, it just keeps stacking. And it looks like that stamina recovery is just going up so much faster. It's only when you block or, you know, get a hit while blocking. And yeah, that's a good way to get your stamina recovery up. But how many shots can you tank to get that stamina recovery up faster? It lasts 10 seconds or 11 seconds, and it goes up every time that you are hit. Now, this next one to me is very interesting. This is the one that increases your armor when you are hit while blocking. Solid frill. Now, I think this is very interesting because obviously you still have your counterattack enabled while you're doing this. It's forced to be enabled, so you can't actually just buff it into oblivion. It does have a stack up to, I believe, is it 20 times? Yeah. So let's give that a go and see how it goes. So there's one right there, and it's got the counterattack on, of course. There's 2, 3, 4. Another counterattack coming. And then we're going to go into it again. 6, 7, 8, 9. As you can see, the amount of damage that we are blocking now. We're at 10, 11, 12, 13. There's another counterattack right there. It looks like you can go all the way down. 15, 16, 17, and 18, 19, 20. And then you have 44 seconds of this. Now, look at the damage that you're reducing here. So, that is barely anything compared to how it was at the start. It's insane. Now, you're obviously not going to out-tank a dinosaur while you've got it on, but even if you're not blocking, it's still reducing the incoming damage massively when you get attacked. And you can see that right there. You've still got 30 seconds roughly of it. It is such a beefy stacking up ability. It's going to be one of those ones that's very situational. I don't know if you're going to get into that full 20 stack unless you are forcing a face tank, but as that goes up, your armor increase goes up, and it just gets better and better and better. And you can probably combo that with some other abilities, especially quick vigor, which will help as well, which means your block has an instant cooldown for 30 seconds. Let's really quickly check out these vocal abilities, of course. We've had a look at some of these. Let's have a look at these vocals. So you've got Enrage, which will increase your damage dealt for a certain amount of time. So let's do it really quickly. And let's do a head slam to show that off. So there you go. That is the damage buff with the head slam. It is quite noticeable. You've got a minute of this Enrage ability as well, which is really, really good. Let's go ahead and check out some of the other vocal abilities because they do get even crazier. So Vengeful Roar is next. And this essentially means that any blocking damage gets reflected as armor piercing. It's 75% of the incoming attack gets put as blocking. So if I really quickly put off guard on, we can have a proper showcase of this. So the aloe should now be taking damage as reflect damage while it attacks me while I'm blocked. So if I do this, there you go. As you can see, it does so much damage to the Allosaurus. And you've got a minute of this ability as well, which is insane. You can even go out, do an attack, go back in, and then just keep doing it. Now, obviously, you're still coming out of this worse for wear than the Allosaurus because it's 75% and not 100%. You're not doing a 1-for-1. You're doing about, you know, a 3/4 of it. Now, the next one I think is really good. Comboing it with Solid Frill, you've got Quick Vigor. Now, Quick Vigor has been nerfed. It's been nerfed, everybody. While I'm making this video, I do not have the nerf effective at the moment, but it is an ability, a nerf that people can put into their servers, which stops it from being invincible, pretty much. So, if I just really quickly go, I think it's do the Quick Vigor ability, and we go into our block and go out of it. There you go. It's just an instant cooldown. And obviously, there you go. That's actually the invincibility that's happening here. This is the bug with it. This bug, I believe, has been fixed. But I think that's so funny that they, I don't know, like, how did that not get spotted? Regardless, that is the Quick Vigor ability with its broken state. I do want to clarify, Quick Vigor has now been fixed. The developers have fixed it. So in terms of the skins, nothing has changed with it. I'm just going to quickly go through them because obviously if I don't, people do tend to ask questions as to why I don't cover them. But here they are. Here's the skins overall. You've got Bouquet, which is a paid skin. Now, I did see a comment the other day by the developers. They will not be changing paid DLC skins because they feel like that would go against, you know, what the user originally purchased. So in most cases, when a dinosaur gets a TLC, the original skin, like the paid skins, don't get changed while all of the others do. So I thought that was interesting to note there, and I think that's fair. I think that's standard practice when it comes to this stuff. However, that's all the skins. That is everything you needed to know for the skins. So everybody, that is the brand new ALBERTACERATOPS TLC that's now available within Path of Titans for you to play and check out. Let me know your thoughts, because to me, this seems really fun. I'm not too fussed if it doesn't have a model TLC, because I do think ALBERTACERATOPS' model is kept very up to date anyways. And like with Dino Kyrus, it didn't really need one compared to other dinosaurs. Now I'm curious what's getting a remodel next. If we're going to get Styraco TLC soon, what will it look like, and will it put ALBERTACERATOPS to shame? I want to know how these both stack up when the time comes. Anyways, guys, what's your thoughts? Aside from the quick vigor bug that's now patched, this is the full thing. I'd love to know what you think. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.